Good morning, everybody. This is Weldon Jones of Sports Media TV Unfiltered. Thanks for tuning in today. As you can see, I'm sweaty. Just getting back from a run. So, I think I burned a few calories here. Not that I need to burn any. All 170 pounds soaking wet. But, for another day, another time. Hope everyone's having a great day today once again. Thanks for tuning in once again. And let's get right to it. I want to talk a little bit about free agency again. And as the days come up, we want to talk about maybe the most coveted free agent on this year's market. And we're talking about Mr. Slim Reaper himself, Kevin Durant. What more can you say about him? He's obviously had a good track record in OKC. He's devoid of a championship, that's one thing. But one thing we noticed about Kevin Durant is that whenever he gives you anywhere near close to a full season of his services, you're guaranteed to pretty much at least make the playoffs, maybe even go to a conference final, maybe even go to a final. It's just a matter of what needs to be around him for him to win. And this year, there was even more of an argument that he's probably in the right place staying in OKC. There's $100 million more dollars on the table for him at least for staying there. Russell Westbrook is only going to get better, and it seems like year after year Russell Westbrook is improving his point guard skills. And I think that if they stuck together for a little bit longer, that they might be able to pull together a championship run. They definitely have age on their side. I mean, all their horses that are putting in the heavy work are young guys. Steven Adams, young guy to Australia. Enes Kanter, obviously comes off the bench. Was starting in Utah, but there was a log jam there, and there wasn't much room for him. And he's not quite Derek Favors, but he's still pretty darn good offensively. So the pieces are definitely there in OKC. But that's not going to stop Kevin Durant, obviously, from meeting with other teams. And we've already been on record seeing that Kevin Durant has agreed to meetings with the San Antonio Spurs, the Golden State Warriors, and Oklahoma City Thunder. Obviously, his hometown team. Obviously, OKC still has the best shot. But let's talk about some of the advantages Kevin Durant would get from going to either Golden State or San Antonio. Alright, so let's start with Golden State. Obviously, this year's finals runner-ups. Very, very talented team. They've already proven to be of championship caliber as they've already raised a banner for their franchise as of the year 2015. And they almost raised a second banner in a row against Cleveland. But Cleveland got its first championship, and LeBron James clinched his third NBA title this year, obviously. I mean, one thing is they know how to win a championship. So that's the first thing that kind of pops up with Golden State. The other thing is Kevin Durant and Stephen Curry would be deadly. Because Steph and Clay are already enough for defenses to deal with and game plan around. And Draymond can obviously play the 4 or 5. It doesn't matter. You can go small or big with Golden State. They're pretty versatile. But Kevin Durant is a lethal scorer. And with the good looks that Golden State generates through their offense and ball movement, it would definitely be a breath of fresh air for Kevin Durant. If he's trying to improve his efficiency like he's not already efficient enough. Almost clinched the 50-40-90 club again this year, as he does every year. He did it once one year. So he's already efficient enough, but amplify that on top of Golden State's perfect ball movement and system. And put some even better role players around him. Put Draymond Green, Andrew Bogut, a big man who's proven to be an amazing passer and a great rim protector. So, he's kind of like Steven Adams, except Steven Adams isn't always getting injured. Bogut's a little older, obviously. And then you have Mo Spates coming off the bench. Like, you could plug Kevin Durant in with the second unit. This would allow a lot of things to happen. I think it would allow Golden State to pretty much three-peat or two-peat championships because they would just have so much depth at that point. Um, Golden State is always going to find good role players. Now, with that being said, I am not one for Golden State to screw up their team chemistry by bringing in another superstar, by any means. But if it were a case where they could keep their team chemistry, they could keep a considerable amount of role players that played a big role this season, and kind of retool everything else, and then bring in Kevin Durant to play alongside Stephen Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. What you would see is a Golden State that would be able to be twice as effective, really, because then you could take Kevin Durant, you can stick him with the second unit, give the second unit a little more scoring punch, so you don't have to worry about getting beat out by other teams' second units when your second unit's struggling a little bit. You could stagger the minutes of your superstars, and when I say stagger, it means to do just that, cut some of the minutes at the beginning, so you can have them all on the floor together to finish the game, or you can have a couple on the floor together for the stretch of the game. I mean, the lineups would be nuts. You're talking about Klay Thompson about 6'7" at the 2 guard, Kevin Durant, the small forward, standing at about 6'11", probably 7 feet tall, even though he doesn't want to admit it, but he's definitely 7 foot tall. He's legitimate. And, of course, Draymond Green doing what Draymond already does. So, if defense would be a concern, Kevin Durant, here's the thing about Kevin Durant that I find quite interesting. And it's kind of like the same thing with LaMarcus Aldridge that I found out. When LaMarcus Aldridge first came to San Antonio, the first thing I said was, there goes number one defense in the league right now. Because we don't have, LaMarcus Aldridge does not play a lick of defense. But then what I came to realize was, LaMarcus is actually an above average defender as a big man. And it showed that maybe it wasn't him that was such a defensive liability in Portland, but it was the pieces around him, because we know Damian Lillard does not play defense. He didn't have Al-Farouq Aminu to help play defense with him. Plumlee has never been a top-notch defender. So then when LaMarcus came around, a Spurs team that has pretty much two of the best perimeter defenders at the shooting guard and small forward position in the league, and you have a very, very unathletic but very, very smart and savvy rim protector in Tim Duncan. And then you add in the fact that the Spurs' second unit can get after it defensively a little bit, even though Patty Mills is a little bit undersized. He's a very, very energetic defender. He never lets up. He never takes a play off. And I think that helps him a lot with getting minutes. And you factor that in, LaMarcus didn't have a problem playing really good defense. And I think what we're going to find with Kevin Durant is when you put him around Andre Iguodala, Draymond Green, Klay Thompson, who can defend the shooting guard and small forward position, and Steph Curry, who obviously people are going to make the argument, got roasted in the finals. But the bottom line is, man, how many people can actually stop LeBron? And if you're going to continuously put a 6'8", 6'9" guy in pick and roll situations on a 6'3" guy, he's going to get the best of them at some point, just out of pure physicality. And that's something that Steph can't really help. But on the other hand, Steph is not a pushover either. Not just any point guard is going to run in there and, score on Steph. Steph has problems defending elite point guards. But shouldn't you have a problem defending elite point guards? Because they're elite at what they do. They're obviously the best at ball handling, passing. They're the best at creating their own shot, finding their own shot. So, yeah, it's going to be hard to defend elite point guards. And especially when you're an elite point guard yourself and everyone is chipping at a chance to make you look foolish. So, for Steph actually holds his own. He's a very mentally tough defender. Sometimes he picks up silly fouls trying to get steals. And yes, he does get little bad treatment from the referees. But he is still, in my eyes, a good enough defender to hold his own at the point guard position. And if you add in more length with Kevin Durant, what are you switching? I don't think you're going to switch anything, because Kevin Durant has a 7'6" wingspan. And he can move a little bit. He can defend when he wants to. So, a motivated Kevin Durant defending, mismatches, I'll take that. I'll take that because he can get blocks. He's athletic. He can slide with defenders. He might draw a charge or two. he'll make a play every now and then. He won't be the best. He's no Kawhi Leonard, but still, he's a good defender for his position. It's just that his offense is so extraordinarily great that you have to think that his defense is kind of lacking. And it's the same with players like Steph and LeBron, because they have such unique offensive skill sets and they're so unstoppable. You look at their defense, you're just like, they don't play defense. But think about it. Their offense is so good that even if they did play good defense, it would still be bad defense compared to their offense. So when you look at it from that perspective, both sides of the ball, I think Golden State would benefit a lot from this. But at the same time, they are built to win a championship right now. So they don't need Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant going to Golden State would mean Kevin Durant needs them. It wouldn't be the other way around because Golden State could win without Kevin Durant. They've proven that already. All right. So let's talk about the Spurs. Now, this is interesting to me because when you talk about adding another superstar to a team that's already proven they're still new to the whole play through a superstar thing, it's kind of tough to decide, should you keep going with that or do you just cut your losses while you have them and go ahead and start building a system around these guys? And the Spurs are a perfect example of this dilemma. This season we saw them transition into a new era. This was the first season of the Kawhi Leonard, LaMarcus Aldridge era of Spurs basketball. And this is going to go on for probably like another decade or so, at least until LaMarcus decides to hang him up. I think this is his last go at it pretty much. He has like 6 to 7 years left and he's going to be pretty much done. He'll be pretty old. But the thing with this is I find it interesting because when you look at the Spurs, you would think Kevin Durant fits perfectly, right? But here's the thing. So with the Spurs, here's what Kevin Durant is getting. Kevin Durant would be going to the team with the best defense in the league and the number 4th rated offense in the league. Last season they ended the season at number 4. They were number 2, but they kind of slid a little bit, got a little bit of a cold streak going into the playoffs. And with all that being said, Kevin Durant does wonders for the Spurs offensively. And there's no doubt that Kawhi Leonard wouldn't mind handing over the first offensive option title to Kevin Durant. Because obviously Kawhi's game is predicated off of defense. It always will be. And that's something that you have to think about when you look at this whole equation. With the Spurs, they're coming to a new era. Duncan's probably about ready to hang him up. Ginobili's about ready to hang him up. David West is about ready to hang him up, which is kind of a good thing because there's more cap space for Kevin Durant. But this is an interesting opportunity for the Spurs. If they wanted to take the superstar approach, they drafted Kawhi, turned him into a superstar. They get another superstar in LaMarcus Aldridge. And if they wanted to take the big 3 approach, they could do it and allow Parker just to kind of lay back and be a facilitator and let Kevin Durant get in there and he'll take like maybe 20 shots a game. You'll get probably like 20 shots a game from Kawhi, maybe, if he decides to shoot the ball. And you'll definitely get like 20 shots a game from LaMarcus. Now, the problem with the Spurs is that their offense, as it is in a transition stage and is already stagnant enough. When you look at this year compared to the year that they won, the beautiful basketball, it's really no more for the most part. I mean, they still have their half-court sets where they go into their full motion sets with the double pin downs and the flare screens and the zipper cuts. They still have some of that action. But now what they've done is they've taken and they've converted everything into pretty much feed the post where either Kawhi or LaMarcus is going to be camped out, because it just so happens that their big dynamic duo actually accounts for a huge amount of post-up possessions as compared to other players in the league. Put it that way. They both operate on the low block to a certain extent. Kawhi is really quick and he's really great on the low block, and LaMarcus is also in the low block and he's great from the mid range, and they're both great from the mid range. So both of their superstars are mainly mid range, in between game players. And this Kevin Durant brings an interesting dynamic because now you have a small ball four who can go in there and who's going to just pull up from 30. So now you have a little bit more outside presence. And I don't know how good that would do for them. I don't know how much, because Kevin Durant can sometimes stink it up when he falls in love with his jump shot. But if you're talking about just the most offensive weapons individually, then that would make the Spurs go up there in offensive weapons pretty much, because you're talking about Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, who's on the rise. And I think that Kawhi and Kevin could play great together. I think Kawhi could play great with anybody. He's so selfless. He doesn't care about everything that comes with being a superstar. He just wants to go out there and contribute every night. And Kevin Durant needs somebody like that. If he's going to go somewhere, he needs to go somewhere where there's going to be somebody like that who doesn't care about all that other stuff and is just going to do whatever it takes to win, and is going to recognize what decisions need to be made and have good leadership. And here's the thing about Kevin. If he goes to the Spurs, at least he knows he doesn't have to be a leader. He doesn't have the pressure of everything falling on his shoulders, because obviously the Spurs have their big two already. Kevin Durant will be signed up to be a third best player on the Spurs team as far as fit and as far as conformability and being able to understand the system. He'd be the third best player. And of course, he'd be trying to find his way for a season, and hopefully he would understand that if he did come over to San Antonio. But it's not a bad acquisition if you talk about how he fits in the offense. And the Spurs need the extra length and athleticism wherever they can get it from, obviously. And they're obviously searching for it. They're going overseas. They're thinking about offering Davis Bertans out of France. They're talking about they've already signed Ryan Arcidiacono from Vanderbilt to a 2-year deal. He's a young player, played great in the national championship game, has proven to be a great leader over 4 years, is lights out from the three-point line, shown to be a pretty good distributor, very good at changing speeds with the ball. So he's going to be an okay pickup for the Spurs. Obviously, they gave him a 2-year contract, 1 year guaranteed. And when you look at that, I mean, what the Spurs are trying to do, Kevin Durant fits in perfect with. Because while they're trying to transition into picking up all their role players, getting Jonathan Simmons acclimated so he can get bigger minutes, getting Boban more acclimated so he can get bigger minutes, helping these other younger guys that are coming off the bench, Kyle Anderson, fall into his role as a tall ball point guard and a primary playmaker for the second unit. Getting Anderson acclimated with that role and just, easing people into roles where the big three are going to be gone. Kevin Durant does fit in with that transition if you want to talk logically. Now, from a chemistry standpoint, we don't know what's going to happen. And, that might be something that would be taken into account. But obviously, we don't know where Kevin Durant is going to go right now. He's just talking to other teams and stuff like that and seeing what his options are. My best bet is he stays in OKC, because really there's not a darn thing wrong with OKC. I say this once, I'll say it again. Sam Presti's done an exceptional job. I believe that Sam Presti has done a great job of cutting the checks and signing good talent. They obviously have built a championship roster. They're just very young, and they just need to learn more things year by year. Right now they're kind of hit or miss. They're kind of dark horse, but I think over time with experience, they're going to be a perennial championship contender. Or at least one of them, because in the West, there's always just so many perennial championship contenders. I mean, Golden State, San Antonio. I mean, if you close your eyes, if you blink too long, you'll see Dallas make it to the championship. It's just that crazy in the West. And that's another thing to consider. Should Kevin Durant go out east? Should he go to New York and play with Carmelo and Kristaps Porzingis? Should he go play with LeBron in Cleveland? I mean, there is just so much talk going on. You never know what's going on with Kevin Durant. But as far as those three teams and a fit with those two teams in Oklahoma City, we already know how he fits with them. and a fit. Those are definitely three good options. I'd be hard pressed to believe that he's going to make a decision right away. I think he really wants to take the chance to really reconsider this, because wherever he goes, there's going to be some upside, there's going to be some downside, and there's going to be some kind of adjustment. There's going to be something he's going to have to give up. And at that point, you have to put it in his hands and figure out, you have to just kind of wait and see what he's thinking about, how he's feeling. That's what it comes down to. But with that being said, thanks everybody for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, comment below if you could. Thank you very much. And besides that, I'll probably upload something else later on. Just depends on what goes on today. But yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. And we'll keep up to date on this free agent market, and we'll talk about some more free agents probably in the next segment. We'll talk about some more free agents, talk about some rookies, some expectations that we have, and go over that kind of thing like that. So, other than that, guys, thanks for watching. Have a great day.